Like so many of the songs I write, Lone Wolf Dancing started out as a guitar riff that sounds like this. So notice how you're hearing the guitar part in the left and right side of the speaker, and I'll turn on the click track so you can hear what I was doing there. Now, if I bring in the vocals, you can hear what I'm singing over the top of that. You looked at me right in the eye and told me you would leave me falling like a setting sun. You need a pack to feel alive. So a whole bunch of different vocal takes happening simultaneously there. You looked at me right in the eye and told me you would leave me. So some delay, reverb, all that fun stuff. And I sang the part a couple of different times just to layer some vocals in, partly because I'm not super confident in my own singing. But this was a fun song because it helped push my vocal range a little bit further than I normally would. And that was a lot of fun for me. Originally, it was just going to be guitar and vocal. And so that would have sounded like this. You looked at me right in the eye and told me you would leave me. I don't know why, it just felt a little empty to me. So what I did was program some drums to go over the top of that, and now it sounds like this. You looked at me right in the eye and told me you would leave me falling like a setting sun. That adds a lot of movement for me, at least, and it made me want to just kind of rock a little harder having that drum beat there. One thing I did was open up the mix a little bit so that the guitar part wasn't right up the middle like that and just kind of taking over everything, which I wanted it to do in the beginning of the song. But as I move into the chorus section, you'll notice an automation that happens. So that's what that red dot means right there. So if you watch this automation, you'll see that it switches over to the left, and then you'll hear another guitar part kick in. So you're hearing two different recordings now, which is basically the same progression, played on different guitars using different amp settings. And if I add the vocal in, just wasting time, alone, dancing all this time. So that opens up space for the vocal to sit more in the middle, and the guitar parts don't take up as much space in terms of, you know, where the vocal sits in the mix, at least to me, when I opened it up that way. And if I add the drum in. See, the beat changes. And if you listen to that in the context of the tempo, it kind of comes in at a weird time. And I like that. I did that on purpose, and it took a long time to get it right. And I'm really proud of that part. Wasting time, alone, dancing all this time, wasting my... And then the beat sort of catches up to the tempo of the song. So I just really thought that was fun. And it was a challenge for me, you know, to sit here and try to get all this to work together by myself. You know, I'm like recording and playing and try to do all these things simultaneously. It's so fun to just take a couple of hours and do that. You know, it's very meditative. Anyway, that's the intention behind that. I'll turn the click track off and just go right in front of the chorus section when everything comes in together, just so you can hear it all in context. Moving into the second verse, I wanted the vocal to have space, and now I've got bass, drums, and all kinds of guitar parts happening. It's less heavy in the guitar section, just so that more things can happen without, you know, frequencies masking one another and that sort of thing, because that happens to me a lot where I'll end up playing too many parts and then they all sort of collide with one another, and then it becomes this like mixing nightmare for me to try to figure out how can I get the guitar to sit with the vocal without like just turning everything up more and more all the time, which happens a lot when I mix my own stuff because I like it loud. So check this out. In the second verse, the guitar parts are a little bit more sparse leading up to the next chorus section. You looked at me right in the eye and told me that you love me, said that's why you're letting. If you listen really closely on the left side, you can hear the speaker kind of like, it's almost kind of mushy in a way, really. In the context of the mix, hopefully you can hear the bass, drums, and vocals a little better with the sparse guitar performance in that part, and then spread stereo, you know, kind of left and right there. You looked at me right in the eye and told me that you love me, said that's why. Right? It just kind of opens it up a little bit more than if the guitar part stayed right down the dead center. You looked at me right in the eye and told me that you love me, said that's why you're letting go. And then you took me by the hand and told me you were crazy, said it's eating you up inside. Hopefully you can hear how the different parts are playing to each other. For me, when I hear tracks soloed like that and then go listen to the song again, I hear individual parts that maybe I didn't hear the first or 15th time through the song. And listening to a song in this way where you can hear the different parts encourages me to like listen to what's happening in the track. And I hope that helps you as well if you're checking the song out and enjoying it, which I hope you are. And there's a lot more to this track. You know, there's a bridge section and the ending chorus, and the guitar part, of course, moves all over the place. This whole song was recorded using the Soldano SLO 100 for the guitar tracks. I'll show you what the amp looks like. I'm pulling up the Cortex control right now, which links to my Neural DSP that sits on my desktop and is where I record guitar most of the time. So if I look at the directory here, and I go over to plugins, you'll see the Soldano SLO 100. I can expand that, and I've got a bunch of artist presets. I've got, you know, my own presets that I can create. So you can just click one of these, for example, and it loads the preset that just comes out of the box with that amp plugin. So if I look right here, you can see that I've got a compressor in this plugin, and you can adjust the compression level, the output level, and all that stuff. It's cool how you can move these blocks around and make adjustments to, you know, the mic placement, for example. Like you can grab a mic and, imagining this is a speaker cone, change where the microphone is placed, and you have two microphones in this example, so you can adjust like how far away from the speaker cone it is and how close it is where it is on the axis. And for me, this is very challenging when recording an actual amp using real microphones, because the placement of it can affect phase. So if you look at the waveform of the guitar recording, if those waveforms aren't lined up in the most optimal way, you end up losing the sound. Generally, in a studio, I would have the ability to run the microphone through channel strips and maybe even a, you know, recording console that's going to pull out the best sound for the amp at volume. Those are major challenges as a bedroom recording artist, because first of all, the volume is a real challenge. I'm in my house, my dog is here, my wife lives here, I have neighbors, and I'm in the room with the amps. I don't have a situation where I can put an amplifier in a different room, mic it up, run it through hardware that's made for capturing the optimal sound coming out of the amp here in my house. So something like this gives me a virtual experience like that. And for me, when I play through an amp like this and just hear it through the speakers in my room, or even like in-ear monitors, for example, it sounds to me pretty close, if not exactly the same as when I'm sitting in a control room at a studio and recording a real amp that's outside the control room, sitting in like an isolation space or a big open room, you know, where there's an engineer that can go run out and like move the physical mic around to get the right setting while I'm playing and just like getting in the zone. I can do all that stuff myself here to record my own stuff, you know, which is what I'm going for here. So it's pretty cool that the technology has caught up to the desire of people like me trying to create this stuff here at home. In my opinion, there's definitely a place for authentic studio, you know, live performance recording sessions. And that's why I listen to a lot of the tracks from the 90s. Like I listen to Hum and Failure and Built to Spill, the Deftones, big heavy amps, Marshall stacks and all this stuff played in live rooms. Like having it be virtual is very helpful because it's reliable, because I don't have to think about, you know, am I going to have phase issues when I record a stereo guitar part? And just jumping to the chorus section again, I'll play this part right here, which again is a neural DSP amp performance. Do you hear that left and right delay that's happening? And it sounds kind of weird too. Like that part sounds like the timing is off, but if you add in this other guitar part, I'm able to capture a pretty great tone using virtual equipment, and in the context of the song, it sounds like this. Now, if I add the bass part in with those two guitar parts, it sounds like this. So really, I wrote that so that the bass and that chunky delay part played well together. And it's almost like I tried to match bass frequency to thicken it a little bit. So I'm not trying to have that part stand out as much as I'm trying to just enhance the low end a little bit more. Add the drums in. Add that weird effect. And that's a post-processing effect. So if I look here, you can see that I'm using the Tremolator, and this is a Sound Toys effect, so it's pretty cool. The theme of the song is about the strength and resilience it takes to believe in yourself, to risk it all, leave the pack, and go get it. It's a celebration of prioritizing your own needs and ambitions over disappearing into the safety of the pack. Because here's the thing about lone wolves. They don't always stay on their own, at least not forever. Sometimes a lone wolf will return to the pack or even join a new one. Hell, they might even create a pack that doesn't exist yet. Sometimes you need the support of whatever a pack means to you. Sometimes you have to wander out on your own, even though it might be terrifying. And yes, my wife and I were watching Wednesday Season 2 when I started writing all these lone wolf dancing lyrics, which may have also subliminally helped me get through the narrative. That just felt more like a sign that I should lean in and not question the direction the song wanted to go, because I knew I was on the right track. Be sure to check out the video description for ways you can hear the track yourself. And as always, thanks for watching. If you like this sort of content, I'd be honored if you'd consider subscribing to the channel to hear more stories like this. It helps tremendously as I work to build out the channel. Thank you.